and thanks again for joining us today. My name is Sarah Simonite, one of the Associate Directors in our Center for International Education. And this virtual fair event is Financing Study Abroad. And so we're going to talk about scholarship opportunities, financial aid you may currently be receiving that you didn't realize you could use for study abroad. And then at the end, some budget tips on choosing a program that might be affordable for you. So I'm going to go ahead and start the presentation, and then we'll certainly leave time at the end for questions. Always like to engage with students. So that's my contact information right there on the screen, or you can always email studyabroad@cofc.edu. So in understanding scholarships, it's important to understand the context of how you can study abroad. So those three different pathways, if you will. So a little bit of background, if you're not already familiar. Of course, this information is available in a Study Abroad 101 OAKS course that we have, and you can get those registration instructions on our website. And of course, all of this information is on the CIE website as well. We have our faculty-led program, so that's going to be offered during semester. A lot of faculty programs in the summer. We have really engaged professors who are offering these programs for students. So on average, we have about 35 each summer, and so hopefully we're going to be relaunching that next summer. And then we have a few spring break opportunities, particularly the FYE abroad. We have exchange programs, and most of those are semester or academic year. There are a couple summer options, and the exchange programs are where you're studying with a partner university. And so if you have an international student in your class, that's a great opportunity to ask them if they're, where they're from. If they're here just for a semester year, they're going to be likely from an exchange university. And so that's a great way to get to know that particular university and that location to see if it's a fit for you. And then the third program type are what we call affiliate programs. So these are non-CFC programs. We're partnered with about 22 study abroad organizations, and you can study just about anywhere in the world, just about any subject for semester, academic year, or a summer program. So one of the great benefits of our faculty-led programs and our exchange is your charged CFC tuition. Now for the faculty-led, this is particularly important for the semester. It's a little bit different for the summer because we do have a financial break for our out-of-state students. But for semester programs, faculty-led and exchange, because you're charged CFC tuition, all of your financial aid applies just like you're here on campus. So, pretty straightforward. Everything applies. So, that's a great benefit for these program types. With the affiliate programs, you do not pay CFC tuition. Okay, so you're responsible for paying a comprehensive program fee that's going to be published on the provider's website. But students are often surprised to learn that there's still a lot of aid they currently receive. Again, speaking for a semester program, because you aren't naturally receiving aid during the summer since you're not normally enrolled in summer like you are semester term. So students can use their state scholarships. If you're a South Carolina resident, you have Fellows Life or Enhancement for our STEM folks. Private loans as well as your federal loans, state grants, the Pell Grants, some foundation scholarships where it's donor money. We have an asterisk there because we do need to check with foundation and financial aid, but where it can be converted into a refund, it's actual donor money, then that can travel with you on an affiliate program. So you would receive your aid package at the beginning of that term that you're going to be abroad, and would have that as a big refund because you would just pay the $50 study abroad fee. That would be your only bill with the college when you're doing an affiliate, but you would be able to receive these other eligible aid types. And then certainly we have scholarships through our office, the CIE, and we'll go into a little bit more detail about those specific opportunities. And here we are. Here are those opportunities. So we have general CIE scholarships and pre-pandemic, we had lots of students studying abroad in the semester. We would award between, say on average of 50 scholarships. So they are going to vary between 500 increments of 250 up to 2,500. So this is the first, starting for spring 22, we have increased the max amount to 2,500. So that's very exciting. So students can receive $1,000 scholarship or $750 or $1,250. Really want to, for those students who, qualify and deserve, and give as much scholarship money to those students. And then again, we've increased the max amount for summer programs by $500. It's now up to $2,000. And then you see the deadlines here, and the college is now using a campus-wide system, Academic Works. You'll complete a general application. Part of that general application, one of the questions is to indicate, are you planning on traveling during the academic term? So for this year, it's obviously 21, 22. And when you indicate that, then it'll match you with eligible scholarships, including the CIE. So we really don't want students to think about, okay, there's a couple CIE scholarships per term. We have quite a few. So really want students to take advantage of those opportunities. The criteria are on our website real quick, but I will share it's based on, faculty recommendations. It's kind of a ranking system. They're not writing a narrative or a, statement, as well as academic merit, demonstrated financial need, and a personal statement. So the essay that you write about, why you're choosing this academic program, how does it align with your, academic and maybe future professional goals. And if you have any other kind of financial need that wouldn't be captured on the FAFSA, we're pulling that report, or get that report provided to us by the Office of Financial Aid based on your FAFSA. But we understand circumstances change with families. So you're welcome to include a statement about that in your personal statement as well. So also for administered through CIE, we have additional scholarships, and on top of the general CIE scholarships. So these are kind of very specific, have qualifications. So the Kane is studying in non-traditional locations. The Joe Milligan is for students studying in Australia, once they allow us back in. Unfortunately, Australia has closed their programs for spring 22, but hopefully we have folks out there who are looking for future programs to study abroad during the 22-23 academic year. So hopefully Australia will be back online for that. Students studying in France, with our exchange to Estonia at the University of Tartu. The Nancy Brown is specific for students who are studying on our Trujillo program. And then we have another scholarship also for students studying language in Spain or Italy. So again, these are scholarships administered by our office, but there are also additional scholarships through the department. So as a major or minor in the School of Languages, Culture, and World Affairs, they have scholarships. And this is incentive if you're going to declare an Asian studies minor or a French second major in French but haven't yet, go ahead and do so that you qualify for those scholarships. The alumni office has a couple scholarships actually, for studying in France. Check with the School of Business. The Hispanic Studies Department has two dedicated for our faculty programs, the Trujillo program, and then Latin America for coming up in Argentina. But we also have a semester program in the fall in Chile. And then we always encourage students to check with their major and minor departments, because while we want to make sure we know of all the opportunities out there among other departments, maybe there are new ones that have come online that we're not aware of yet. And so never hurts to ask those academic departments. And again, CFC Academic Works is the website for applying for all of the CFC administered scholarships. Now, for students who are studying with an affiliate programs, we talked about that's a separate Study Abroad organization. We'll have part of our kind of affiliation with some of these organizations is so that there's scholarship benefits for our students. So the list here means that there's an additional scholarship application through our office that students can apply for if they're specifically going to be participating in a program hosted by one of these organizations. So if you were applying for an SIT scholarship, that means you're planning on doing the SIT program. So essentially their scholarships are seen as program fee reduction. So if you get $1,000 scholarship from SIT, we notify them, and then they would reduce your cost with them by the amount of the award. There's also grants for students specifically for being a CFC student through these organizations. So for College Year Athens, DIS, where we have actually a student this semester, you automatically receive, say, $3,000 off that posted program fee on their website. Now, it may be a little bit more. So sometimes students are like, oh, it's $3,000, I'm going to do that program. Obviously, you want to check out what the actual program fee is as well, but know that there are special scholarships or grants just for CFC students participating in their programs. So kind of moving another layer out, we talked about CFC scholarships, scholarships with our affiliates, now national scholarships, federal scholarships. I really want to highlight the Gilman. So this scholarship is for students who are Pell eligible, and it's administered by the Institute for International Education, which falls under the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs of the State Department. So their mission is to really support those students who have some financial limitations in studying abroad. They want to make study abroad as accessible to everyone who wants that opportunity, and we don't want finances to be a barrier. So pretty much if a student tells me they have Pell, I said, well, you have to apply for the Gilman. So we're excited to work with those students on those opportunities. There's a nationally competitive awards office here on campus, and that's a great resource. It's dedicated to helping students with their essays, because essentially your essay is your application for these type of programs. So I do want to put a plug in for them, and their contact information is on our website. I actually served as a Gilman panelist or reader this past cycle. So happy to work with students, kind of refining their, essays and applications. Their preference, is for, non-traditional locations, but STEM students, first generation students, they have a dedicated Gilman McCain for, dependents of, our military family. So lots of opportunities there. So again, excited to talk with those students, happy to, have an individual conversation appointment with you to discuss this. They changed their application system a little bit, and you see the deadlines here. And now when you apply with a cycle, say it used to be called, fall, but now it's the October cycle. That's for programs all the way through a start date of, that should be fall 22. Fall 22. So if your program starts within that, cycle that you're eligible. So prior it was, a fall deadline for spring programs, but that's expanded. And what's important to note is that if you're not successful in that fall cycle, but maybe or October cycle, but now you're doing a summer 22 program, you could apply in the March cycle. So you would have another opportunity to do that. So you'll see a picture here. In previous info sessions, Abigail joined us, but she has graduated and thus moved on to bigger and better things. And she was a great trooper because she was studying abroad in 2020 in the spring. So unfortunately, her experience was cut short, but she really valued the time that she did have studying at Haifa. You can see a picture here in Israel, poli-sci major with an affiliate program. And she was our, actually that's not true, she's not our most recent Gilman recipient because we had 2 students who received it from the spring cycle. So unfortunately, one was for Japan, and that program, that exchange has temporarily suspended for the fall, but Gilman's been a real great thing now. Don't have a minimum requirement in country, which is a huge change. It used to be a minimum of 3 weeks. So hopefully, again, that will grant greater access to our students who may be doing a shorter term program. Then we also have the Boren Scholarship. This is another federally funded scholarship. They're really emphasizing critical needs languages and learning, those less commonly taught Just a few listed here. Their preference, because of that, emphasis on that language immersion, is, most of their recipients are studying for a minimum of 6 months. Our last recipient, I think, was in this 2018, and he did a semester program in China for the spring and then did an intensive language program in the summer. So it wasn't a traditional academic year, but he still was there, at least 6 months with that spring and intensive summer combo. So I'm happy to work with students whose study abroad plans kind of align with the mission of the Boren. And then the Freeman Asia, I kind of want to note here the applications currently aren't open. When I looked on their website just a few days ago, they still had 21-22 information. I'm hoping that they'll be opening up, so I still want to share this. If you want to note that website so that you can check back. We'll certainly update the scholarship section. We have an external scholarship list on our website. We'll keep that updated. And so hopefully they'll have the funding, and the new applications will be open for students, again, looking at maybe a future term. But obviously, as the name implies, this is for students interested in studying in Southeast Central Asia, and some pretty generous scholarships there as well. So that was a lot of on the scholarship fund and where you can kind of access those additional financial support. But, and also, thinking about, financing your program, kind of budgeting, knowing the different program types, and, certainly keeping in mind the locations, because, there's other factors to include, such as the currency rate of the US dollar to the local currency. So maybe your dollar is going to go further in Costa Rica than it would in London because of the pound. So that's something to, consider. And xe.com is a great website to grab and bookmarks. You can kind of keep checking and playing around with what the euro is doing, or the pound, or the yen, any other currencies of locations you're considering. Staying with the family, a host family versus a dorm or apartment, where you would have access to a kitchen and be responsible for cooking your own meals. Well, then that's going to be another budget line item, because you'd be buying groceries, maybe like you do here at CMC, versus Homestay, where the meals are going to be included. And then certainly the size of the city. Are you staying staying in a location where you can walk? Maybe you don't have that Metro Pass that you would be using daily. And we know just the size of the city a lot of times can be mean larger or more higher cost of living. And then certainly in your non-traditional locations, and this kind of factors into sometimes the dollar does go further in these locations, so that may be another factor to consider if you're kind of open. Some students say, I need to find a program within this budget range, and we're certainly happy to work with you on that. We can identify maybe some exchanges or some affiliate programs that may be less expensive if the finances are a factor. And we know that they are for a lot of our students, and that's really important for us to help you find that program, because we want you to have that study abroad experience, even at, whether it's a summer, semester, year that you want. So, researching cost of living. And as we have students who return to studying abroad, we have about 30 or so participating in affiliate as well as exchange programs this fall. We're going to be updating our blog posts as we receive those entries from students. So that's a great thing to check out on our website, so that you can get a sense of what the real life student experience is about, and that can help you in your research process. So kind of getting started, hopefully you have a valid passport. If not, absolutely okay. A great resource and service here in our community is our mail service. It's a passport accepting application for the passports. Passport accepting agency, sorry. So you can submit your application. They'll take your picture there. Of course, the forms, they'll have the forms there. You'll download them from the Department of State website. If you have trouble finding them, please email us. We'll help you certainly with that. We don't want that to be a barrier. But this is important. Again, we have freshmen and they're thinking of going, in 3 semesters, going their junior year. That's okay. Go ahead and get your passport now. When you're over 18, it's good for 10 years. So this is an investment, right, for the next 10 years. And if we have any folks out there for spring 22, we cannot emphasize enough, you need to apply, or if you have to renew your passport now, and we're recommending you expedite it. I do acknowledge that that's an additional cost. That's another fee. I think it's about $60, but it's significant. The processing time is significantly delayed as they have not fully kind of reopened all operations due to the pandemic. So, we see students, anybody, any U.S. citizen that applies for a passport, the expedited service where normally would take 8 to 10 days is taking up to 12 weeks. So that's pretty significant delay. So again, anybody who's thinking of going in the spring, you've got to have that valid passport or get it applied for now. So we'll also have peer advising hours. You can find those on our website here. If you're looking at an affiliate program, we have a separate OAKS course for that. And you can find that link to the self registration instructions there, but there's also that Abroad 101 OAKS course. Again, that's on our website as well. So that will give you a little bit more kind of overview of the different program types that I highlighted at the beginning of this presentation. Via TRM is the application portal. So yes, you'll submit your application there, but you can go ahead and create your account, log in with your My Charleston credentials, and it'll also have the database of all of the eligible programs. So there is a brief intake survey when you first create your account. And so as much information as you can provide, when you want to go, what you want to study, where you want to go, or looking for an internship, you indicate, those preferences, and the VIA system will match you with potential programs that'll help kind of narrow down your search, because we know there's lots of options out there, which is a good thing, but it can also be an overwhelming thing. But that's why we're here, right? So CIE advisors appointments are made through Appointment Manager. It may show up for students also as Achieve, but that's a channel in your My Charleston portal. And please start following us if you're not already on our Instagram, CFC Abroad. Again, as we have students who are landing and starting their adventures abroad this semester, they'll be posting. So, that's a great way, kind of fun way to do research to see where you might want to study. And then also for our blog site as well. So summary before I let y'all talk and I can answer any questions is, first, it's important to understand your financial situation and your aid package. So sometimes we'll meet with students and they'll say, oh, well, my parents handle all that. And I'll say, well, you're the one going abroad. You need to be informed. So that's, good to, learn financial management and budgeting. So understanding what aid you have, what types of aid is applicable to the different programs that you're looking at. So we can certainly help you with that. And then researching those program options, as I mentioned in VIA, certainly talking with the CIE advisor. So our office is kind of broken down by program types. So again, if you do that Study Abroad 101 OAKS course, they'll give you a little bit more information and maybe which track you want to go, but you absolutely do not have to have a program identified before you talk with one of us advisors. So you're welcome, anytime to schedule that appointment. Again, on our website, as presented in the earlier slide, knowing what aid is applicable to the certain type of program you're looking at. We talked about considering, those budget tips. Thinking about what's not included in your program fee is just as important as understanding what is included in your program fee. So what are those out-of-pocket expenses that are going to be absolutely necessary, such as if you do an exchange or an affiliate for a semester, there's no airfare included in the program fee. So you would obviously need to, prepare for that international airfare cost. And again, CIE is here to help you, with those aspects, and certainly apply for scholarships. So hopefully you got a good sense of all the different types of scholarships out there. And I do kind of want to have a little bit of a kind of reality check, if you will. So while there is lots of scholarships out there, we really want students to look for programs that they know they can afford with the scholarships or aid that they currently have, And then if they can get scholarships, great. Because what we don't want to have happen is students say, oh, I can only do this program if I get these scholarships, because depending on when those award notices are given, that may be after you have to make some non-refundable kind of deposits on your program. So on average, outside of the national scholarships, of course, which were several $1,000s, I'd say on average a CIE scholarship is about $1,000. So that's a lot of money. That's great, but that may not be a deal breaker for participating in a program. So that's why we really want to have those conversations with students to make sure we're identifying programs, just from the base is something that students can afford. And I think that is it for that. So I'm going to take any questions that you may have, anything unclear. And then at the end, real quick, I'll do a plug for our fair and final events that we're having. And I'll go ahead and stop the recording now in case anybody wants to ask specific questions. So I'll do that.